Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Joe Otto is out today, so I'm going to be doing this solo, and we have a lot to get through, so let's dive right into it. I don't know if anyone's been watching, but Kenosha, Wisconsin is crazy. People being shot in the streets, businesses being burned down, people being attacked, absolutely nuts. And the topic of our podcast today is quite simple. Did the next Civil War just really begin in Kenosha, Wisconsin? Did that just happen? Everyone pull out your raffle cards, look at it, and if you had down that the next Civil War would begin in Kenosha, Wisconsin, you're the winner apparently, because what's happening there is absolutely absurd. And we have breaking news just coming through now as we're getting started that the person we're about to talk about, his name Kyle Rittenhouse, 17-year-old, has now been arrested and is accused of fleeing the state and is being charged with first-degree homicide, something that we're going to talk about and ask whether those charges are justified. Now, I have to ask people to do a couple things. I need you to like the video. I need you to share the video. I need you to comment on the video. We need to make sure that this gets out there because, once again, it's amazing how all of these things get going, people start talking about it, and all the actual video evidence doesn't come out until afterwards. So I need to do those three things. Share, comment, like the video. I'm also going to warn you that some of the videos that we're going to be watching do include the discharge of a firearm and do include people getting hit by a bullet. I've gone through them. It isn't too graphic. I have one that I don't know if I'm going to show because I'm on the fence of one of the guys being shot in the head and they're caring for him. I don't think I want to show that because it is very, very graphic, but you can find it online. But we're going to talk about the two videos of the shootings in Kenosha, and I want you to answer the question of, do you believe that these are self-defense shootings? I'm going to put up a poll. In your opinion, do these appear to be self-defense shootings? Yes, self-defense. No, shooter was the aggressor. Unsure. So as we go, you don't have to take the poll right now, but as we go, answer that, and we'll see what people think. I don't have an opinion yet, but I'm hoping that through this conversation, we can have an opinion. I do think that the idea that this guy fled the state is completely bogus. He lived right across the state border, and immediately after the shooting, he walked up to police officers. So the argument that he fled the state is absolutely bogus, but we're going to get into that. So let's go ahead and play the first video, the first clip. So what this shows is allegedly the first shooting that this 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse was involved in. Let's go ahead and play cut one.
Ooh, he shot him. Get back. Shot him, man. He shot him. Shot him, man. He laid him out. He laid him out, you guys. He laid him out.
So, I have video closer up. I don't think we're going to play it because it is very graphic. It sounds like the individual in that video did pass away, so I don't want to show that. I don't want to show that because no matter what side of the political aisle you fall on, no one wants anyone to die. No one wants anyone to not make it home at night. What we just saw is unclear at this point. The main question that we have to ask is whether that shooting was legally justified or not. It appears to have taken place on some kind of either a car dealership or an auto repair shop parking lot. The question is whether or not that initial shooting was lawful use of self-defense, or whether Kyle Rittenhouse was seeking out trouble and shot someone who didn't need shooting. That's the ultimate question. I don't know. I don't know yet. I do know that if the person who was shot was riding, was looting, this is definitely a much bigger case that it was self-defense. We don't know. But I do want to read out self-defense law in Wisconsin, because that's where this took place. And I'm not going to get into the whole bit of it. There's a bunch of exceptions and things like that. But self-defense is, quote, this is what the law says, quote, a person is privileged to threaten or intentionally use force against another for the purpose of preventing or terminating what the person reasonably believes to be an unlawful interference with his or her person by such other person. The actor may intentionally use only such force or threat thereof as the actor reasonably believes is necessary to prevent or terminate the interference. The actor may not intentionally use force which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm unless the actor believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself. That is the standard in Wisconsin for self-defense. And there is an exception, which is provocation. And this is, quote, provocation affects the privilege of self-defense as follows. A person who engages in unlawful conduct of a type likely to provoke others to attack him or her, and thereby does provoke an attack, is not entitled to the claim of self-defense against such attack. And there's a couple other things. But basically, like many states, Wisconsin has a very common sense self-defense law. If you are attacked, you can defend yourself. If you are the provoker, you do not have the right to self-defense. In that instance, a couple people saying they came in too late. We're going to play the video again. We have two videos. We're not playing one of them because it does show someone dying, and I don't want anyone to see that. But we're talking about what's going on in Kenosha, whether or not the next civil war is upon us. Amazingly, it might have just started in Kenosha, Wisconsin. But let's go ahead and play cut one again for everyone who is just joining us. Let's play cut one.
Ooh, he shot him.
So you can see there's bullets flying. People are saying, get back.
Shot him, man.
And then you can see
Shot him.
that the shooter,
Shot him, man.
see him in tan, he has a little backpack on.
He laid him out.
You can see in a second that he runs towards the guy to see whether he's okay. Another person immediately renders aid. It looks like the shooter is on his phone. As people start rushing towards him, he runs away. That is not fleeing the scene. That is getting away from an angry mob, which, as we will see soon, he had every reason to be afraid of. So again, we don't know whether that is legal. James Holland, I thought you can't buy an assault weapon at 17 years. No such thing as an assault weapon. Not your fault. The media kind of puts that word out there. Assault weapon is a made-up term. Assault rifle is a rifle that has either fully automatic or select fire capability, of which is very hard for a civilian, especially a 17-year-old, to own one. He had what looked to be a semi-automatic rifle, an AR-15 type. It depends on state law. Some states do say you have to be 21 or 18, but under federal law, the only age restriction is for buying a gun. So you have to be 18 to buy a gun in many cases, or 21 to buy a handgun. Unless state law intervenes and says otherwise, someone under 18 can be gifted a firearm. They can't buy one, but they can be gifted one. So that is, I guess that's another question. How did he get the gun? Right now, seeing what's going on in Kenosha, I am very inclined to give deference to anyone who is forced to use deadly force to protect their life, which, as we're about to see, he had to do it again. But the big question is whether or not that was a legal shoot or not. JP says he did not start the next civil war, but you are doing your best to get started. I'm not. I'm asking a question. I genuinely don't want that. We say it all on the time on the show. Genuinely do not want that. Just ask the question, did it just start? Obviously, it's not like a full-blown civil war, but anytime you have inside of one country two opposing groups shooting each other, and they each have political motives, that's a definition for a civil war. It's not the traditional like North versus South, but you don't need that for there to be a civil war. You just need two sides literally fighting each other. So that's the question we're asking. We're not actually advocating for a civil war. We're just asking whether it started. And I hope it hasn't. But anytime you have people literally just shooting each other in the streets, it's hard to say that there isn't something going on. No, no one wants a civil war. Are you insane? That's not saying that there is one. Conservatives won't fight in it. But no one wants it. No one wants that on our doorstep. No one wants our kids to go through that. So I want to play the second video because that's the first one. So there's a shooting in a parking lot of what appears to be either a car dealership or a car repair shop. You can see all of the windows are boarded up. There's a shooting there. As the angry mob runs to see what happened, the guy, Kyle, runs away. Let's see what happened immediately afterwards. Let's play cut 3. Fair use because it's a very newsworthy clip. So you can see here other people running forward. There come the cops. And then you're going to see the man, identified as Kyle Rittenhouse, jogging towards police officers, waving them down, putting his hands up. He's walking up to them, and you'll see in a minute. Let's let it play out because I want to show this because they're accusing him of fleeing justice. Putting his hands up, walking towards an armored vehicle, trying to wave someone down.
Injured straight ahead. Someone injured straight ahead.
Walking over to a police car with his hands up. So let's cut it there. Does that look like someone who just fled the state? I mean, they're accusing this guy of fleeing justice. Typically, people who flee justice don't immediately, after discharging a firearm, jog to the nearest police officer. I mean, I don't see that. Does anyone see him as a fugitive from justice in that clip? We might play it again. I don't know if I want to risk playing it again because it does. I mean, it's horrible. We just saw people get shot. We know that someone died in that encounter. The man was running away. We saw in the first clip there was some shooting. We don't know if that was legal or not. He looked to be on his phone, saw people running towards him, and he booked it. He got out of there. Because, yeah, he probably would have been lynched if he didn't have the ability to defend himself. Even if it was a legal shoot, he probably would have been lynched. So we saw him leave that parking lot and jog. That second video is him jogging down the street, still trying to get away. And the mob is chasing after him. And you can hear people say, "Get him. We're going to get him." I have a couple of screen grabs that I want to show because it's a little hard to see what was going on in that whole encounter. But I want to show it. Let's go ahead and put up image A, Mr. Producer. That's what he was experiencing on the ground. So he was running away. He tripped and fell as he was running, obviously because he's looking over his shoulder at the mob chasing him from behind. So the official story that we are hearing from news outlets today is that this 17-year-old was arrested. He's been charged with homicide, and he's being accused of fleeing the state to flee justice. Not only did he jog to the nearest police officer with his hands up to turn himself in. But this is the screen grab of what happened just before he had to open fire from a prone position on the ground. The mainstream media is reporting it. Let's keep this up for a little bit longer. The mainstream media is reporting it that people went to disarm him and he shot them. Because apparently, if you're in the media, you can't call a spade and say the mob was trying to kill him. Does that look like he's being disarmed? Has anyone in the history of the world ever disarmed someone with a jumping kick to the face? Is that really the narrative we're going to go with? Peaceful protesters were trying to disarm a killer and he shot them? That's a 17-year-old kid running away from what he probably considered a self-defense shoot. He trips and falls because he's trying to look behind him, and all of a sudden the mob converges on him and he gets a kick to the face. We have more footage. Let's go ahead and put the second one I sent to you over Facebook, Mr. Producer. This is a skateboard to the head. He took a skateboard to the head. We saw this in the New Mexico shooting. I forget the guy's name, but he was attacked on the ground by a mob wielding skateboards. Anyone who's ever been hit by a skateboard, I've never been intentionally hit by a skateboard, but I have tried to skateboard, fallen, and it fell on top of me and hit me in the head. It doesn't feel good. I can only imagine being hit intentionally in the head by someone wielding a skateboard. Does that look like they're trying to peacefully disarm him? No, it looks like they're trying to smash his skull in with a skateboard. We have more. Let's go ahead and put up image number 2. This is a screen grab from the moment that he opened fire. The guy running up to him has a handgun in his hand. He is on the ground being kicked, being hit in the face with a skateboard, and based on that screen grab, which I went through the video and it looks real, a guy running up to him was holding a handgun. Think about that. They're saying that this guy had no legal right to defend himself. Now, I don't know. I don't know if the original shoot was legally justified. The original shoot in that parking lot was justified. I don't know. We can't tell from the video. He ran away because he was being chased by the mob. The question is, if you commit a crime at one location and leave to avoid being lynched, do you give up any right to defend yourself against being lynched a couple blocks over? That's the ultimate question, right? If he killed a guy over there, then yeah, he should be prosecuted for that. We can't see in the footage, so I can't say one way or another whether it's self-defense. If he killed someone without any self-defense justification in one location, then absolutely, he should have to pay the price for that. But that doesn't mean that he gives up the right to self-defense a couple blocks over when he's running away from a mob trying to lynch him. When he trips and falls on the ground and he gets kicked in the face, he gets hit in the face with a skateboard, and he sees someone approaching him holding a handgun. Are we supposed to believe that even if that first shoot was unlawful, which we can't tell one way or another, are we supposed to believe that he should have just had let his skull get crushed and let someone just execute him with a handgun? I mean, is that what we're going with here? Everyone, hit the share button, because the media is calling this guy a killer. They're saying he fled justice. We just showed you him jogging up to police with his hands up to turn himself in. He did not flee justice. And they're saying he had no right to defend himself. We just showed footage of him getting beaten with a skateboard, kicked in the face, and someone running at him with a handgun in his hand. Hit that share button, like the video, continue commenting. We just hit 1,000. Let's see if we can get up to 2. Because the media's not showing this. Media's not showing this at all. I mean, it's not hard. Oh, it's not hard to find. Sorry, I just knocked over a cup. It's not hard to find this footage. It's all out there. You have to not want to find the footage to not find it. Let's go ahead and put this image up. Let's go to image number 3. This is an individual who got shot. If you look at his hat, it says paramedic. If you look in his hand, you see a handgun. Their paramedic is running around with a gun in his hand. The media reported that, oh yeah, he shot a paramedic in cold blood. Where we just showed it. Go ahead, put up image number 2. Looks to be the same guy. Image number 2 is as he's on the ground trying to defend himself, that guy runs up with a handgun. Let's go back to image number 3. How many paramedics do you know run around the streets late at night waving around a Glock? Anyone? Can anyone tell me that they've been, as a paramedic, running around waving a Glock in the air? Matt Srolla says, you're ignoring the 2 other people he killed. We're not. We played the first video showing him shooting someone in a parking lot, and you can't tell one way or another whether it's legal. You can't tell. We see that he ran away from that as the mob descended on him. I cannot say one way or another whether the first shoot, chronologically, was legal or not. I can't say it. I can tell you that even if he did shoot and kill someone, he does not waive his right to self-defense from other people blocks away. No, you don't. We don't live in vigilante justice, which if he killed someone without any legal self-defense reason, then yes, he should pay the price for it. If it was lawful self-defense, then no, there should be no charges. And as we talked about, Wisconsin law says lawful self-defense, use of deadly force is allowed when you are in fear for your life or you are afraid that someone is about to cause you serious bodily injury. Ultimate question is whether that first shoot was justified. I don't think anyone can say with a straight face that this 17-year-old wasn't in fear for his life when he was on the ground, being kicked in the face, being hit with a skateboard, and having a guy run at him with a handgun. You cannot make the argument that he did not have a legitimate fear for his life or fear of having serious bodily injury caused to him. You just can't make it. You can't make that argument. Patsy's saying we have to show the entire video no matter how graphic. I showed all the videos of the shoots. The one video that I withheld is after the fact of people caring to someone who had just been shot in the head. It isn't actually involved with the actual shoot itself. It's them tending to someone who was shot in the head. It's of them carrying him to a hospital where I believe he passed away. So that's why I'm not showing that. Because it's very gruesome. But you can find it on the line. It's very easy to find online. I don't want to show that because no matter what, no matter whether this was justified or not, I don't want to show videos of someone on the ground bleeding out of their skull and dying. I just don't. I was ready to go with it, but as I am thinking about it, I just don't want to do it. The ultimate question, Lionel Garzon says, but Max, how do you prove what his intentions are? You can't, which is why I cannot say one way or another whether that first video was a justified self-defense shoot. I can't. We can't say it. All we know is that he got in an interaction with someone else, and that other person ended up being shot. That's all we know. That's all we know at this point. But I can tell you from that second video of him falling on the ground, having people descend upon him, yelling, "Let's get him," as he's kicked in the face, as he is beaten in the head with a skateboard, and as we just showed from a screenshot, someone running in with what looks to be a handgun in his hand, I can tell you unequivocally that if I was in that situation, I would absolutely shoot them too. And it's terrible. But that is a separate incident. He's blocks away at that point. Even if he committed an unlawful homicide down the road, that doesn't give the mob right to lynch him a couple blocks away. It just doesn't. And it doesn't mean he has to give up his self-defense rights when he falls on the ground. Just because it's debatable whether or not that was a self-defense shoot or not, doesn't mean that he has no right to defend himself when he's on the ground and they're piling on him. Is that where we're at? I mean, it seems obvious. It seems pretty obvious to anyone who watches this. I mean, we showed the clip. He then jogged to the police with his hands up, and he's being accused of fleeing the state. He's being accused of fleeing justice. He lives across the state line. he went home. He immediately ran to police. I assume told him what happened. And then he went home across state lines. He did not flee justice. He went home. So lots unclear at this point. We don't know what his motives for being there was. We don't know whether that first shoot was legally justified or not, because we just can't see it. But without a doubt, it is clear to me that that initial shoot was legally justified. Can you hear me now? Okay, are we back? I think we're back. Sorry, we're having technical problems. Mr. Producer, send message to me over Facebook if we're clear. If I'm just talking and no one can hear me. I know people are saying that in Facebook. Oh, we're clear now. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that image up one more time. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. I'm actually really angry at our tech department lately. I've been telling them that this is a problem, and they haven't been fixing it. Hopefully, we get it fixed. We're just going in and out. It's really annoying. But let's go ahead and put up those images again. Let's go to image A. Image A is him. This is what happened. He fell on the ground. He gets kicked in the head by someone. Are you suggesting that even if someone killed someone a couple blocks away, even if that's true, even if he murdered someone a couple blocks away, are you telling me that when he falls on the ground, he has to submit to being kicked in the head? Is that the argument? I don't find that anywhere in self-defense law. I don't see that anywhere, that a third party has the right to kick him in the head because he may have illegally killed someone down the street. I don't see that anywhere. If anyone can find a law on the books that says that, happy to listen to it. Let's go ahead and put up image number 1. This is what else he was enduring when he was on the ground, being hit in the head with a skateboard. Again, even if a couple blocks away, and that's an if because we don't know, even if a couple blocks away he killed someone without any legal justification to do it, does that give this third party the right to hit him in the head with a skateboard? And does that mean that he has to just lay there and take it? Facebook just labeled us as graphic. That's probably why I lost audio. Apparently Facebook just labeled us as graphic, and that's why I might have lost audio just now. Interesting, because I didn't, I deliberately avoided putting the most graphic stuff out there. Very interesting. Mr. Producer, tell me what that means, because we're still broadcasting. Does that mean that no one new gets to see it? So he's saying that it kicked him out on his PC, says we're graphic. Very interesting. Very interesting. We're just talking about... Oh, okay, so Crystal says it asked her to uncover the video. Let me see what this looks like. I've never had this happen. Okay, so they have a warning now on our video. Great. Fantastic. Because God forbid people actually learn the truth about what happened. This video may show violent or graphic content. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, do we show the graphic content now? Because I was holding it back specifically to avoid that happening. Do I just show it now? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. This is incredible. Everyone had to uncover because it's graphic images. We didn't show any graphic images. I guess we did show the guy bleeding from his arm who was holding a handgun. All right, well, while we're graphic images, let's go ahead and put up image 3 again. Might as well. Might as well at this point. This is the guy, one of the guys who got shot. His hat reads paramedic, but in his hand, there's a handgun. He's being billed as a paramedic. You actually will see on other social media sites, on leftist social media sites, they are cropping that image to remove the part where there's a gun in his hand. They're cropping it so you can see he's bleeding from the arm. Oh, he's a victim, victim, victim. They don't want you to see the gun in his hand on a lot of other social media sites because they don't want you to put 2 and 2 together and see image 2 when you pause your video. Let's go to image 2. They don't want you to see this when you pause your video. Because then that would justify the self-defense shooting. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section whether any of you believe. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about this? I'm happy. Oh, they will not allow any reactions to comments. Interesting. So they're not allowing anyone to react to comments. I'm allowed to like comments. I don't want to show it, even though Facebook just apparently gave me permission to show it. I'm not going to show a video of someone minutes before death bleeding out of their head. I don't want to do it. I don't want to set that precedent. It's someone's son. It's someone's brother or sister. Someone's, I don't know if he's father or not. It's someone's family member. I don't want to show that. You can find it. It's all over the place. It took me 5 seconds to find it. It's not hard. If you want to look for it, you can find it. I'm not going to show it up, even though Facebook apparently just gave me permission. Well, if you're allowed to anymore, hit the share button. If you're allowed to, like the video. If you're allowed to, continue commenting. I don't know if we're allowed to anymore, since we just showed what appears to be a self-defense shoot. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it on the Donald.win. Lots of different places you can find it. I don't want to show it. Lots of people saying not wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think we probably could have shown it, but I don't want to. I don't want to. It's someone's kid. No one wants this, and that's why when we're talking about in the beginning, people accusing me of wanting a civil war. No one wants a civil war. I have a 2.5-year-old son. I have another son on the way, due to be born sometime in the fall. I don't want to. Who? You think I want a civil war? You think I want to go march off the war and leave my 2.5-year-old and my newborn at home? Does anyone think that I want that? And I don't want that. No one wants that. No one wants it. I mean, I'm sure some people want it. There are crazies who probably want it. I don't. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're not going down that path. We're absolutely going down that path. We are closer to a civil war today than we were yesterday and than we were the day before. That's true. That's absolutely true. We have people being shot in the streets. We have people being kicked in the face, hit by skateboards. We saw from that screen grab, someone was running up to him with a handgun. If he didn't shoot him in the arm, he probably was going to get shot himself. No, we are absolutely closer to a civil war than we were yesterday, if we aren't already in one. I hope we're not. No one wants that. Let's go ahead and show some other clips from the riots. I don't want to call these rioters because these are Biden supporters. Let's go ahead and play cut 6. This is a video of the Biden supporters throwing rocks at people on the roof protecting their businesses with long guns. Let's play cut 6. See right here, there's a laser sight on the roof protecting his business, and you see these scumbags say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw rocks at the guy with the rifle. That's smart. I'm going to throw rocks at the guy with the rifle. Now, just so everyone knows, you can get killed by a rock to the head. You can. You absolutely can get killed by taking a rock to the skull. From that distance might be hard, but you could. You could have serious bodily injury caused. You could fall off the roof. In that instance, an argument can be made that by throwing rocks at him, whoever was on the roof would have been legally justified in shooting them. Should they have? No. Of course not. But when we're talking about law, when someone throws a projectile, legally in many states that's called a missile. When they throw a missile at you with the intent to cause bodily injury, you can make the argument. Is it worth it? No. Is it guaranteed you'll win in court? Absolutely not. But you could make the argument. These guys are up on the roof protecting their business, and they're getting rocks thrown at them. And these are peaceful protesters. These are peaceful Biden supporters. Let's go ahead and keep, if you haven't already, hit the share button, like the video, and comment. We're losing a lot of people because Facebook labeled it as graphic. Shocking. Let's go ahead and play. This is the next clip of the peaceful Biden supporters bringing out the explosives in Kenosha last night. Let's play cut 7. Let's play it one more time. I think we missed it in the start. They say, oh, that's fireworks. No, it's explosives. Unless you're shooting them into the sky as they're designed, that's an explosive device. Right? That's a destructive device under the National Firearms Act. Bringing that and using that as a weapon carries the same prison sentence as using a machine gun, using a rocket launcher, using a grenade, using a sawed-off shotgun. Same law. When you bring explosives and you use them as a weapon, it's the same felony as if you had brought a machine gun. Let's go ahead and play cut 8. This is them using explosives against a police vehicle. Oh. Interesting. Interesting there. It looked like they were trying to blow up the radiator of an armored car. I have no idea. Not very smart, but also not very peaceful. All the media today is saying that these were all peaceful protests. And that kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, again, don't know whether that first shoot was legally justified. Don't know his intentions since he didn't live in the state. Don't really know why he was there. Don't know if he was asking for trouble. I don't know any of that. All I know is when you see someone on the ground being kicked in the face, hit with a skateboard, and someone running at you with a pistol, absolutely have self-defense rights in that situation. But they're saying that he came there looking for trouble from peaceful protesters. Peaceful protesters. Again, one of them who got shot had a Glock in his hand when he got shot. Interesting. Interesting. Let's play some more clips. This is the peaceful Biden supporters trying to push down a fence and storm, I believe it's a courthouse. Let's play cut 9. So peaceful. Peaceful Biden supporters. Everyone's knocking Joe Biden for not having any rallies. And he's having rallies. He's still having rallies. Throwing missiles. Legally, that's a missile. Throwing projectiles at the officers. This is peaceful. This is what constitutes a peaceful protest. Tony says, where's the first part of this video when the mob ganged up on him and started to beat him? We have it. We can play it again. I mean, now that we're graphic, let's just play it again. I didn't know that that was a graphic image. I had many others that I wanted to show of people bleeding out and being rushed to the hospital. I thought I was actually selectively choosing what was graphic and what wasn't. Apparently, just the mere discharge of a firearm in someone's direction without being able to tell who was hit or not, apparently that's too graphic. But sure, let's go ahead. We'll play it one more time. Ask yourself whether this person on the ground has any right to self-defense or whether he should just lay there and take it and have his skull bashed in and just be executed. Let's play cut 3. Attacking. I thought I was safe to play it again. This is amazing. This is amazing. YouTube's completely down. Oh, now YouTube's back up. Okay, YouTube's back up. This, I don't know whether this is tech taking us down. I don't know whether this is our own tech not fixing what they were supposed to fix this morning. I don't know what's going on. But I do know that this narrative that Kyle Rittenhouse was indiscriminately shooting people in the streets is just not true. It's just not true. Can anyone say that what you've seen justifies that narrative? Can anyone actually say that the video we just showed twice, which is now causing us to hemorrhage viewers, fantastic. Can anyone say that that kid, 17-year-old, on the ground, being kicked in the face, being hit in the head with a skateboard, being charged by someone with a gun, can anyone say that that was not a self-defense shoot? I'm happy to hear. I'm happy to hear if you don't think it is. I think it is. I think it's pretty obvious. Even if he did shoot someone unlawfully a couple blocks away, that doesn't mean when he trips and falls, he has to sit there and let them bash his skull in. It just doesn't. Two separate incidents. Two separate incidents. If he did kill someone down the street, that does not give the mob vigilante rights to lynch him in the street a couple blocks away. It just doesn't. But the media is saying that he fled the state, even though he immediately jogged to police officers. The media is claiming that he was indiscriminately shooting peaceful protesters, which, as we showed, one of the people running up to him was holding a Glock, a handgun. So peaceful. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. And then we are experiencing these horrible technical difficulties right as Facebook says that we are showing graphic content, even though I went out of my way not to show graphic content. Surprised that is how that was defined by Facebook. It's very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and go to the poll. So I had a poll up. In your opinion, do these appear to be self-defense shootings? Yes, self-defense. No, shooter was the aggressor. Unsure. Here's the responses. 412 of you, 78%, said yes, it was self-defense. 25 of you, 5%, said no, the shooter was the aggressor. And 94 of you, 18%, said unsure. We're back. This is getting annoying because that last error message I had was not Facebook is kicking you out. That last error message was the firewall that you're connecting to is kicking you out. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do this podcast. Can't draw water from a rock. But those are the results. 78% say yes, it was self-defense. 5% say the shooter was the aggressor. 17% say unsure. And that's fair. The unsure is completely fair. I don't hold anyone against that. That's why today I wanted to make sure that we had a third option. Because it's completely fair to look at that, at least to look at the first one, and say you're unsure whether that was a self-defense shoot or not. Completely fair. I don't see anywhere in that video where the shooter's the aggressor. And that's how I think only 5% answered that. Those are the trolls on the stream. But I can see why people would be unsure. Yep, every time our video goes out, we hemorrhage viewers. Very interesting how this works. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is what's terrifying for me. And I guess we'll end with this before Facebook kicks us out again. What's really interesting, what really makes me scared is I've trained to use my firearm. Are we back? Can you hear me? Are we back? Okay, we're back. We're going to end this before it goes off. At this point, I don't think this is Facebook anymore. I think that this is internal technical problems, which we were told were fixed this morning, which actually has me completely furious. This is what really makes me scared. I'm going to try and get this out before we get cut off again. I own firearms. I've trained in the use of firearms. I have a concealed carry permit. I am prepared to use a firearm to defend my life, my family, and if necessary, my property, if it's legal, wherever I am at that given moment. I'm prepared to do it. What's terrifying to me is – What's terrifying to me is that over the last 3 months, we have seen that everyone in a situation like this who has tried to use self-defense to defend their life has been branded as a murderer, has been branded as a killer. We saw them do that to the McCloskeys, who didn't even fire a shot. They got charged. We saw a gentleman in New Mexico. He got charged after he was chased down, thrown to the ground, beaten, and only then did he draw his pistol. He got charged. We're seeing it here. We are seeing the revocation of the right to self-defense when the leftist mob is involved. That's what we're seeing. We are seeing that when someone uses self-defense at one of these riots, they are being branded as the aggressors, not the rioters burning down everything down. It is automatically being assumed that if they use self-defense, use deadly force, that they have committed a crime. And that's not right. It's just not right. We live in a country where you have the right to defend yourself. It's in the Constitution. It's the Second Amendment. And what we're seeing here is the normalization of the belittlement, I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, of that right. The disregarding of that right. That if you dare exercise it, you are a villain. If you dare exercise it, you are a white supremacist. If you dare exercise it, you are a racist. And that instead, the way to go is if you trip and fall, surrounded by a mob, to just sit there and take it, let them lynch you, and accept the fact that your life is over. The mob has willed it so. That's the problem I have with all of this. I feel like that is a much bigger story than the burning down of buildings, which that's literally, it's a big story. The rioting, the looting, big story. But what the media has done over the past 3 months in vilifying the right of self-defense, that is what is going to stick with us for years to come. And that's what terrifies me. Because if any of us are forced to defend ourselves, apparently we don't have any rights. Apparently if we live out of state and we go home after a lawful self-defense shoot, you're considered fleeing the state. Doesn't make sense. Well, I'm gonna cut it here because the tech problems are too much to handle. But tonight, I am running this, so we won't have these tech problems, but I am. Are we back? Hopefully we're back. If we're back, tonight I am running a live stream, and that live stream will be of the RNC. We're going to be fact-checking it, counting the truths. We are also going to be counting the number of times that all of the mainstream media outlets cut away to show other programming to fact-check or whatnot. Last night, I think it was over 50. I don't know. We had a ton of cutaways, and the 2 nights combined, we had over 2,000 truthful statements made during the RNC. So tune in tonight. We're going to be going live at 8 p.m. I'll be handling this live stream, so we won't have these technical difficulties. I'm really sorry that it cut out. I'm sorry that Facebook labeled this as graphic video. I really tried my hardest not to include the graphic ones. Apparently, those ones are also graphic in Facebook's eyes, so I'm sorry. I did give a disclaimer at the start that they might be considered graphic, so I'm sorry if I offended anyone. But we had to deal with that. We had to deal with a bunch of tech problems. But again, I invite you tonight. We're going to talk some more about this tonight on the stream. 8 p.m. currency, playing a nice little drinking game, and also counting how many times all of the mainstream media outlets cut away. So make sure you tune in. That's going to be 8 p.m. tonight. Well, that's it for this edition of the podcast. Thank you all for sticking with us through all these difficulties. Remember that you can subscribe to the podcast, which I don't even want to think about what that's going to sound like after this recording. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or Podbean. Find us all there. You can also, if you're listening to the audio of this, you've made it through the whole thing, you can also find us live streaming on YouTube and Facebook every day, 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. We're also on Parler, so follow us at Conservative Daily, all one word. Happy to follow you back. And also, there's a link in our description to join our newsletter. In the case that we get taken off of Facebook, that newsletter is how we're going to be able to organize this show in the future. So please make sure that you click that link, sign up for our newsletter. We also send out call to action alerts for important things going on in Congress that the media is not covering and that we want people to focus on. So make sure you sign up for that newsletter. That is our fail-safe in case we get taken down off of YouTube or Facebook or whatnot. So I think I got through everything. Again, my name is Max McGuire. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us today. And remember that the fight to take back our country, clearly, as we've just watched, isn't over. But the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.